back through all the epochs of history, right now is the best time for you to educate your child at home. Hi, I'm Christine, and I'd really like to welcome you to the channel. I'm going to talk to you about home education in the UK. Home education in the UK is ultimately the main focus of this channel. This is our main thrust, our main theme. Perhaps there will be times when we'll veer off and talk about home education, particularly in Scotland, only because I'm in Scotland and it's what I understand best. But there's not going to be huge differences between the UK and Scotland. There's not going to be, people in Scotland are very similar to the people in the rest of the UK, despite perhaps what we might call SNP propaganda. So yes, home education is in the UK is the main thrust of this channel, and my main purpose with the channel is to promote home education in the UK and to support people who have either are just beginning their home education journey or are considering it but haven't quite made that leap yet. So if you're in the group where you haven't quite made that leap yet, I really do want to encourage you. So I'm not going to talk for long, you'll be glad to know, and really I've just got 3 or 4 things to say. And if we look back in the UK to home education, really a very brief overview of education in the UK. And obviously, again, that's something that I understand in Scotland a lot better than the rest of the UK. But I don't believe that our histories are that different. Once upon a time, a long time ago, home education was the norm. All children essentially learnt from their mothers. Then schools came along, and in Scotland that was John Knox, who his aim was to have a school in every parish. So these were church schools, they weren't state schools, they belonged to the church. And as well as educating in reading and writing, arithmetic, there was a moral component, there was a biblical standard for morality that was included in the education. Now, between 100 and 150 years ago, these church schools became state schools. And back at that time, there wasn't a huge gap between church or biblical morality and state morality. But over the years, that gap has widened. And now we're at a situation where not only are the vast majority of children in school, but these same children are being taught state values. Now, yes, a lot of people are happy with those state values, but a lot of people are not. So that takes me on to why people want to home educate their children. They want a home education for their children in the UK. Why do people in the UK, why are they now considering that? Well, I think there are 2 main reasons. And the first is falling standards in academia. So I'm going to give you a concrete example of what I mean by falling standards. I have a friend who, she's slightly older than me, but she sat her higher exams around about 30 years ago. And hires, just to be clear, are somewhat equivalent to A levels. They're slightly easier, and there's an expectation that you would take 5 in one sitting. They're taught over the course of 1 year. And then, so in a higher year, which would normally be the 5th year of secondary school, a good student at that time anyway would take 5 subjects and over the course of 1 year learn the syllabus and then sit the exam. Then there was an optional 6th year, and it was optional. Some people did leave school and go to university at the end of 5th year. There was sufficient qualifications, and 6th year was an opportunity to sit more higher. So for example, if there's a particular course that somebody had their eye on at university, but they hadn't considered it the previous year, they had an opportunity to sit a further higher, or what we called a 6th year study course, which would have been an equivalent probably to an A level, or I think they're now called advanced hires. And my friend, she sat her 5 hires. I don't think she got a single A. I think she got maybe 4 B's and a C. And that was sufficient to get her to St Andrews University, which is obviously a very good university, or at least it was. I think standards in universities are falling also. But at that time, it had an excellent reputation. In fact, as is well known, St Andrews University is where Prince William went to university and his now wife, Catherine. That's where they met. So it does have a good reputation. Now, my friend's daughter has just left school and is heading to university, I think in Glasgow. I'm not 100% sure. And recently they were clearing out some old documents in the house and came across my friend's exam results from school. And the daughter was horrified. Mum, you've done so badly in your exams. And when my friend was telling me this, I was saying to her, did you tell her that exams were much harder in those days? Yeah. So the situation is that to get into St Andrews University now, I think you would probably need 5 A's. And St Andrews University is a lot bigger now than it was 30 years ago. It has a lot more places for students. So the standard, it is easier to get into St Andrews University now just because there are more places. But it would appear that you need to have higher grades. Well, you do need to have higher grades in your exams, but that is only because the exams are easier than they were 30 years ago. So people in the UK are looking for home education in order that they can impose their own standards, and these standards would often be higher than state school standards. So that would be a huge reason for home education in the UK. And a second reason for home education in the UK would be moral standards. That children are not taught character. There's no character building exercises. There are what you might call soft subjects, often coming under the heading of personal, social, sexual health care. And increasingly these subjects are pornographic, and they don't actually teach anything about character building, just about sexual relationships. That would be the only aspect really of education that is essentially promoted in schools. They wouldn't be looking at how to resolve conflicts, how to build a home, how to build a family. These things are not considered important in the state education. So I would suggest that the two main reasons that people in the UK want to educate their children at home are these 2 reasons. Okay, so my final point that I want to make is about communities, and that is something that is definitely growing as far as home education in the UK is concerned. There are now increasing communities for support for home education in the UK, and these communities are local communities. That is, they're in cities, they're near cities, near to where people live, so that your children, if you choose to go down this route, your children can meet other children, and there's opportunities for play, for sport, for interaction, making friends that perhaps you might be concerned about if you're considering home education in the UK. Obviously, in the United States, home education is much better established. They call it homeschooling in the US. It's much better established, so it's easier to find communities, it's easier to find other children. In the UK, these communities at the moment are also just in new stages, but they are there. And so my final suggestion to you is, if you're interested or if you're beginning and you feel alone, please get in touch, because I can help you find communities. I can help put you in touch with other families, other people in the UK who have started educating their children at home, and these people will have wisdom as well as being able to help you with community, so that you don't feel alone. I've got a good friend who she doesn't live particularly close to me, but she has been educating her children at home for 6 or 7 years now, based on their ages. And even after all that time, she does have her doubts, she does have questions, and so even she, with her advanced knowledge and her expertise, even she needs community, even she needs the support of other families, and her children also meet up with other children who are educated at home for various activities, visiting museums, sports, things like that, that will help them and can help you, if you're so interested, to educate your children at home here in the UK. Okay, now another thing I can suggest to you, of course, is to go to our website, which is listed below, which has some ideas, some thoughts. Look at the videos that have already been produced on the channel. And as I say, get in touch. It's easy to get in touch. You can leave a comment below, or you can go to the website and there's a contact email address there. Please get in touch, and I really hope I can help you. I really hope that you do decide to make this journey into home education in the UK. It will be great for you, and from my perspective, it will be great for the UK as a whole, which is a hugely important idea as far as I'm concerned. It's something that I'm very keen to do, is to see things improve here in the UK in every aspect of life. And I honestly believe that home education is a huge route to fixing things. Thanks very much for watching. Please stay tuned for the next video relating to home education in the UK. Thanks a lot. Bye.